Okay, everybody, welcome to the stream. I wanted to give everybody a chance to kind of come in here. Um, Here we go.
Get ready for an engaging and musical evening at the historic Texas Theater in Dallas, Texas on September 20th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Join us for a meeting of the minds, love and relationship town hall. Brought to you by Alchemizing Energy and Zulu Vision. Sponsored by Real Life Productions, Preference Dating, Inner City Creative Group, and House of Consciousness. Hosted by Sa Netter of House of Consciousness and moderated by Sabrina Williams of Preference Dating. This event features a lineup of renowned experts, including Anton Daniels, Napah Shada, Kevin Wesley, Amber Ali of Jocelyn's Cabaret, The Smart Guy, Baba Shaka, and Sydney Starr from Batty South Atlanta. Performances by Shaka Zulu and the Tribe Zulu family, and Phil Wade. Elevate your experience with exclusive balcony VIP seating, complete with delectable vegan cuisine from Zulu Vegan Cooking. Participate in this interactive town hall where your voice matters. Engage in thought-provoking discussions on topics like dating, polygamy, polyamory, monogamy, swinging, and single lifestyles. Connect with like-minded individuals. Tickets go on sale now, so get yours today because this event will sell out.
All right, guys. So, as you guys all know, we have this event coming up at the Texas Theater. I'm really happy to announce our guest that's coming to the stage. His name is Anton Daniels. You might know him from the Millionaire Morning Show. He is a UX designer. He focuses on topics such as like financial security, relationships, love and relationships. He it has been married for I think over 20 some odd years, and he's married to his high school sweetheart. I thought that bringing him on the panel would be a great idea because he already tackles these subjects. I think that he has a very great perspective on the subjects of love and relationships, and also the fact that he's been married for so long to the same person. And I also like think that his view on single relationships is very important subjects. The way that he comes at those subjects, and he faces his opposition head on. So without further ado, I would like to add to the stage Anton Daniels.
What's going on, my friend?
Welcome, 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 sir. How are you doing? How's your day?
I'm doing pretty well, getting ready to after this live stream go out, network, have a good time, interact with the people, go out to the streets. You know how it is.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, uh, so I mentioned that you've been married now. It's still about over like 20 years, right? So I wanted to give the exact number. How long have you been married for?
I've been married for 19 and a half years. So I got married when I was 22 years old.
19.
Yep, I got married when I was 22 years old. I'm
I'm
41.
getting it mixed up. 22 versus 19.
Well, yeah, I was 22 years old when I got married. We both was 22. But I've been married for 19 years, and I'm 41. Got a 15-year-old daughter. Divorce is not an option at all, not even a little bit. I don't understand the mindset of people that get married today. I don't understand. The dynamics has completely changed, right? And so I think that I have the difference, the recipe for what being successfully married looks like. It's a difference between being married for a long time and being successfully married. And I think that's the thing that people don't understand. They think that just because you are married or you are in a relationship, nah, it's a black and white situation, right? Either you're married or you're single, in my opinion. There is no such thing as being a fiance. There is no such thing as being in a relationship, shacking up. I don't believe in any of that, right? And so because I am very black and white on my views, and we understand gender roles and we operate, she leans into her femininity, I lean into my masculinity. It's a difference between how people today view what successful relationships are and what I believe being successfully married is. But we can get into that. We can dive into that.
So can you share some key principles or advice for maintaining, like, that's a long time to be married. How do you keep a healthy marriage and not be toxic? You know what I'm saying? How what made this easy to, or I wouldn't say it was easy, but how did you get through the storm? Like what how
It
would you.
wasn't a storm. It was never a storm. That's the thing. Well, okay. So in order for me to kind of give you the game on what it takes in order to be successfully married, maintaining it for as long as I have, I think the first thing that you got to deep dive into is how do you vet effectively when it comes to finding the person that you're supposed to be with, right? And that's the thing that people skip over. They go on apps, they date people, they slut it out. They have different ways in which they think make sense in their lives, and it's absolutely the dumbest thing that I've ever seen in my life. Let me give you the foundation. So I got three brothers, so it's four of us total, no sisters. All of us got married early. All of us are successfully married. My youngest brother, which is 6 years younger than me, he just flew back to Tampa, so he got a house in Tampa that he flying to. All of them are super successful. My father and my mother was married until my father passed away in 2017 from an accident. Just life that just happens, right? And then my mother got remarried about 2 years after my father passed, and so she's still successfully married to a man that is very similar to what my father was, right? Incredibly masculine, wasn't dating around, really, really good dude. He really is like a reflection of what my father was. All nine of my uncles on my mother's side successfully married, never divorced. Both my father and his brother never divorced. So there is a recipe for success. And a lot of people don't want to have that conversation. They want to understand the opposite reaction, which is the toxicity of why somebody is wrong and why, but they don't look for what the solution is, right? So let me give you the game. Vetting effectively comes from surrounding yourself with the right people. Most people don't even understand marriage. Most people don't even understand what to look for, right? And so as a result, people are looking based off of where it is that they at instead of looking at where it is that they're going. Most guys, even if they marry a woman that is ideal for them right now, they're marrying a woman based off of their current circumstance, but they don't even understand where it is that they're going long term. And so when you marry based off of your current circumstance, you're marrying wrong because she's not going to be the same person at 20 or 30 or 40 that she is at 50, 60, and 70. And so because you can't project yourself that way, and because you didn't network effectively, and what people are using in order to find the right spouse is wrong, the formula that we have today is wrong. You can't even get into a situation where you can sustain it because you guys are not equally yoked. You are not going in the same direction. You don't have the same vision. You don't have the same mindset. You weren't raised the same way. She's not going to be submissive under your vision. She's going to evolve. She's going to be different. You're going to be different. And then you guys can't continue to maintain what is or grow together and create what is a dynamic situation where you can lean into each other to show you what successfully being married looks like, right? And so how to vet effectively, first of all, is not to date. You should not be dating. You should not be on an app. You should not be inviting people out to dinner. Guys should not be out here spending a bunch of money in order to court a woman, taking her to Roof Chris, Benihana, substantiating her lifestyle. The things that you're going to ask at the dinner table is all going to be wrong because all you're trying to do is deflower what this lie and this presentation layer that somebody is putting on to you, instead of just purely understanding what that person is about. When you network effectively, when you're around people that you don't really have an interest in, what happens is you get to see how they operate under duress. You get to see how they operate at their job, what they do for a living, how they manage their money, right? Who's their friends and who's their inner circle, and do they even belong to be in your presence in the first place? Is she a person that reserves herself, or is she for the streets and for everybody, and she's promiscuous and moving around, but at the same time, she's trying to find a guy to save her from herself, right? How does she treat her father? How does she treat her parents? Does she have kids? And is it her fault as a result of why it is that she's in a situation that she's in as far as being single? Is she single or is she dating around? How does she view what being single is? How does she manage money effectively? Right? Is she a church girl? Do you have two different views of what spirituality is? Or is the entirety of the relationship based off of whether or not y'all had good sex and y'all just keeping it together, patching it together because y'all both look good or y'all feel good about each other at that particular time? How does she operate under duress? You can't see any of that because communication is 90% body language, 10% of what you say. What you say is actually the cherry on top. That's the confirmation. That's for everybody else. But if you read in the room, any guy that walks into a bar, anybody that walks into a specific space, a woman already knows whether or not she likes you before you even have a conversation with her. It's just yours to be able to mess up. And then on the other end of that spectrum, a guy that's worth his salt, that knows how to read the room, that operates under a level of dick discipline, knows how to understand whether or not a woman is actually worthy of being for his time, because you can tell whether or not she's for everybody or if she's just a woman that was just there at that particular time, right? And so you can't find those characteristics. You can't vet effectively during the dating process, because the thing that you're looking at in the presentation that they're putting on for you is completely different from what it is that you need to be looking for in a wife and what she needs to be observing in a potential husband, right? So once you get past the idea that you shouldn't be dating, but you should be networking effectively, and then women ultimately need to be marrying the person that becomes their best friend, men need to be operating based off of the idea of what it is that I'm looking for as far as whether or not she's going to be a good mother, whether or not she's going to be able to rock out with me at a time when I'm at my highest, because most dudes, when they get married based off of their potential and not married based off of where it is that they're going to be long term, right? They're looking at things completely different. This is why you need OGs. This is why you need fathers in your life, because they can't teach you this. This is something that you have to see. I'm a reflection of the thing that I would want my daughter to marry. So before we even get to the point to where we having a conversation about what sustaining looks like, you first can't get married or operate under duress, because you're going to find yourself in a situation where you should have never been with the person that you married in the first place. You got married based off of opportunity and not married based off of purpose. And most people don't even understand what marriage is.
So, Charleston White said that when he married his wife, right, he told her, "Listen, I'm not marrying you for love. I'm marrying you because I understand that we can grow together, etc." Would you say that when you got married, were you in love, or were you married just based on those like okay, well, I saw a person that could grow with me. It wasn't so much about love. Do you think that marrying for love is like a bad idea?
Absolutely. Marriage is a business first. Marriage is a business first. And interestingly enough about that, women inherently look at relationships from a business first perspective, even if they don't realize that they're doing it. Hypergamy literally is a woman looking for the best available option based off of her preferences and her circumstances, according to how she was taught. So that is looking at things from a business perspective. Women's inherent ability to look at men based off of providers and protectors, not wanting to be having to go to work, but want the option to be able to do so, right? They're vetting a man not just based off of love. Love is extra. Love comes with it. It should be a part of it. But also the way that men and women look at love is completely different. Men look at love as a sense of duty. Women look at love as an emotion, right? And so men should always look at it from a business first perspective, because the most important decision that you're going to make in your life is the person that you lay next to. There is no more important decision. I don't care if you're talking about the career path that you take. I don't care if you're talking about the job, the car you buy, the home that you invest in, the business that you start. The most important and biggest financial decision that you ever gonna make in your life is the person that you lay next to every day. So how can I not look at it from a business perspective? And everything that we do, we vet it effectively. You're not just going to go over to that job just because they offered it to you or just because they called you for an interview. You need to understand who it is that you're talking to. The interview process is not just one way. It's not them interviewing you for the position. It's also you interviewing them to figure out whether or not it's going to be a good fit, because this might not be the culture that I want to be a part of, right? I may not want to move over there. I may not be interested based off of the upward mobility or the reputation that this company holds, because it may be bad for the trajectory of where it is that I'm trying to go long term, 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now, right? And so if the most important business decision that you ever make in your life, because remember, you got to close your eyes next to this person. This is the person that is going to be the mother of your children. This is the person that is going to be either the helpmeet or the person that destroys you and everything that ever comes along with you. Why wouldn't you take this thing serious? Why are you looking at this from a love perspective, right? Even the Bible itself is say, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and everything else be added unto you. Meaning that you become the best version of you, and then everything else is added unto it. So if I'm focused on looking at everything from a business perspective, and I'm on my purpose as a man, that means that I'm looking at it from a business first perspective, understanding that love comes along with it. Even if you look at relationships where, the spouse is hand selected or is hand selected from the parents, right? Arranged marriages are much more successful in which they wind up becoming in love or having that love within a relationship than where people are able to pick for themselves. So love is really a female game based off of her emotions, okay? The love aspect of a relationship should come along with it with the man, but that shouldn't be the priority of what it is that he's looking for when he's looking to find a spouse. You need to be looking to find out whether or not she's going to be a good mother. How does she operate under duress? Is she the type of person that's going to break easily and then be able to leverage your kids against you in family court? Because we know family court laws is not been updated, and women are advocating against updating family court laws while advocating for feminism. Or is she the type of person that's traditional and actually going to fall under your vision, understanding that the best version of you is ultimately the thing that benefits her the most? She's the one that's going to benefit as a result of me becoming successful. She the one that's going to drive the fly car. She the ones that's going to be riding first class. She the ones that's going to be able to operate in her femininity and not have to go to work in order for us to be able to survive. When she gets up under my covering, that means that she can truly become the woman that she's supposed to be instead of out here operating in her masculinity, right? So when we having these conversations about looking at it from a business first perspective, first we need to understand that business as it relates to relationships and love as it relates to relationships is two different things as it's supposed to be, because that's the way God made us. It's two different things because the way that men look at love is I'm out here killing myself every fucking day in order to make sure that these lights is on. I'm doing the thing that's in the best interest of you and my children. I'm willing to die for you in order to protect you. And if anybody ever comes through this door, if anything ever happens to you, I'm putting my life on the line for you. It's a sense of duty, right? It's what you do that then translates into how it is that I love you. Whereas women are looking at it as a butterfly feeling, which is why it's so easy for them to be able to walk away from a relationship. And why women overwhelmingly file for divorce the majority of the time when it comes to those relationships, right? But she's supposed to yearn for you. She's not supposed to look at it the same way that you look at it. He's supposed to look at it from a business perspective because, listen, I'd love to lay up under you, baby girl, and chill with you on a regular basis, but I got to go out here and do the thing that's in the best interest of our daughter because I don't want her taking out student loans when she go to college, right? I want to make sure that you're taken care of for the rest of your life if anything ever happens to me. He has to make those sacrifices in order to make sure that his family is taken care of because that's a sense of duty. That is love. And when she says that, oh my God, I can't wait for you to get home because I've been waiting for you at the door all day long, that is a sense of love that she's supposed to have for her husband because she's yearning for him. She's submissive to him. She's looking to pour into him. She's his helpmeet, right? And because we don't have the understanding of what marriage is and how you're supposed to operate within your role as a marriage, we've now become divided and we're now having these conversations that's out of purpose because you got a lot of people that don't have understanding that's having a conversation all at the same time. And so love is a sense of duty, and men should look at it from a business first perspective. And if he's not, he's actually doing his family a disservice, and he's not the man that he's supposed to be.
So how do you balance the demands of a successful career with the needs of marriage? Like, so you're a very successful man.
Mm-hmm.
How do you balance that? And also, you know, how do you maintain individuality and personal growth within that?
How do you balance it as a man, or how should a woman balance it?
I would say, what would you say both for both man, from a man's perspective and from a woman's perspective? Like, if a person's successful, okay, if things are going right, the man should eventually be successful because he has the support of the woman,
Mm-hmm.
and that should make him grow, right? Because he doesn't have to worry about certain things. She's taking care of the household. The man is able to go out and work. But it can be demanding, right? So would she give up her autonomy and only support you in the marriage, or would she work and uh do other things? Like, would she have a job and then y'all both work together, or what do you think is the best option? Do you think the woman should just focus on supporting the man?
Well, let me break it down to you based off of time frame. Okay. So first and foremost, a man should always place his purpose before a woman. No man should ever modify what it is that he's supposed to do based off of how a woman feels. Ever. Your purpose is your purpose. And what you have to understand is that you have a purpose that's ordained by God, right? What you're supposed to do and what you're supposed to accomplish is what you're supposed to do and what you're supposed to accomplish. It should not be redefined based off of how she feels, right? This is why women have been defined as a help meet, right? Why you have to submit. It's My thing is, what does God want me to do, and how is it that I'm supposed to take care of business? Is God over man, man over woman, woman over child, right? And so what you have to understand is that I'm not worried about what it is that they feel like. That don't mean I don't take it into consideration. I'm always going to have empathy. I'm always going to take into consideration how it is that she feels and do the thing that's in her best interest. But I also know that how she feels versus what's best for her, as far as how it is that we're supposed to operate as a family, comes with my sense of duty. And so I can't modify how it is that I'm going to move based off of what it is that she feels. So I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I know I got to take care of business. If I got to work 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, then that's what I got to do right now. If I got to go out here and take care of business and I got to be on top of things, or I got to go and travel and take care of business and leave you at the crib to take care of the kid, you think I'm about to modify that? Or you think I'm not going to take care of that business and be on top of that just because you feel a certain type of way? No, I'm going to take it into consideration and I'm going to coach you through it. But at the same time, I'm still going to execute. So a guy needs to be on top of his purpose regardless of how a woman feels. You can't modify what it is that you're supposed to do or lose sight of what you're supposed to take care of just because a woman came into your life. Otherwise, that means that she's a noose and she's not a helpmeet, right? You're supposed to be helping propel what it is that I got going on instead of slowing me down from what it is that I'm supposed to be taking care of. And so a guy always needs to be taking care of business. And when she understands that, then she also understands that she becomes the beneficiary of all his greatness. She's the one that ultimately benefits as a result of it. Now, let me answer the question with regard to women operating and working and what is her role in a relationship. I believe that all women should work. Women should be working. They have always worked. They always have had a sense of duty in a relationship. They've always added value into the relationship. And it's not by her sitting at home drinking wine all day while you out here killing yourself. There's plenty of women in all cultures that go outside and they are high powered, they make a lot of money, and they come home and they bring that check home to daddy. And then daddy tells them and helps them to manage it more effectively, or whatever it is that they got vision, laid out as a vision for their family. But women should work, but that should not prevent you from operating in your femininity when you get home. The difference is, I don't believe that a woman should have to work when she has small children. Now, when that child gets of age to where they start to go to school full time, you're not going to tell me that it's enough cleaning and cooking in the world for you to actually have to not go to work, right? In some form capacity. Now, my wife decided that she wanted to work for me. And part of the reason why she works for me, or she chose to go down that path, is because it allows for her to be able to spend more time with me, because I don't have a lot of time to be spending around the house. I'm on the move. I'm on the road. I'm taking care of business. So she travels with me. She works with me. She takes care of business. She operates and runs some of the different divisions of what it is that I put together for her. So she operates under my covering. But women should work, because women have always worked. They just had a different capacity by which they were used. And whether or not they was working on a farm back in the day, or they was hanging clothes on a clothesline, we got so much technology now to where things have become so easy. It's nothing that you can tell me as far as if a child, especially a big child, or a child that's relatively older, is going to school full time. You can't tell me that it's enough wine in the world that would allow for you to just be sitting at home doing nothing, getting fat for no reason. Absolutely, women should work. They should add value.
So here's the question.
They should also bring value into his life and look to how they can add value into the relationship, not just how it is that they can utilize his money for herself and then use her money to save.
So here's the question, right? So nowadays, a lot more women are making more money than men, right? So you might end up in a situation where maybe, with the prison population the way it is, a lot of guys coming out of prison, the chances sometime of finding a guy that's able to take care of the family and this, that, the other, or they might be slim, right? So you might end up with a guy that's not as successful, right? He might just work at the warehouse and you might be making $100,000 a year. So what would you say would be the case in that?
Bring that check home. When did a woman making money actually substantiate that she was better than him, or she not supposed to be under his vision? There's plenty of women that make plenty of money and they bring that check home. When did a woman's money become hers, but his money become theirs? I don't understand that. So a woman's value is based off of whether or not she get paid, and that's a myth, right? I'm just speaking to the situation or the circumstance that you presenting to me, right? The biggest myth in the world is that most women are making, or a lot of women are making more money than they men. No, it's a small minority of women that's doing that. On average, if you look at the census, especially the median household income, and you look at the data says that women, especially Black women, are earning significantly less than their spouses or the ones in which they married. We can't use the data to substantiate relationships because we don't know who's in a relationship or who's married or not. But on average across the board, women make less than men. Now, the caveat to that is they're more educated, but they're not necessarily going into fields that actually yield a bigger salary than the men that they date. Also, on top of that, you also got to factor in the idea that women are the most in debt and the most enrolled, which doesn't necessarily translate into making more money or having more resources. So her inability to be able to manage those resources, just because she may or may not make more money than that guy, does also not mean that she should not fall under his vision, because more money doesn't necessarily make you a better person. It just makes you more of what you already are. On average, most women, and you should look this up, on average, most women that make six figures is still living paycheck to paycheck. They are one paycheck away from losing everything. So if she makes more money, but then at the same time, she's not as responsible, or she don't understand exactly how it is that she's supposed to be moving more effectively in order to make sure that she build up the family, how does that then substantiate that she's in any different of a position than a woman that should be making still going to work, but also submitting to her husband and the vision that he has for the family? It doesn't change. Your ability to make money actually goes into the pot, and we a family. And so we building this thing together, and we're not going to change the vision just because you start to level up a little bit. That don't mean nothing, because did we change the vision when I started to get more successful? Should I have modified my loyalty to you based off of where it is that I am now, but instead of where it is that I was when you married me, right? Because most guys, when they get married, when I was 22 years old, I was fortunate. I wasn't making a lot of money. But most guys, when they're younger, they don't even know how great that they're going to be. Should they trade her in when she get 40 for 220s now that she not what it is that he thought that she was going to be when he married her and he took her vows to her, right? So guys are loyal. They don't change. They don't modify. They don't move based off of what the circumstances are. They continue to execute on that vision. And I expect for a woman that gets married and take her vows before God to have that same loyalty to the man, regardless of how much money she made.
So Prince Ella Clark talked about how there's like a whole like thing going on with the Black community, but she mostly focuses on just men and women in general. She feels that men should operate in scarcity, and that they are incapable of love. So what do you think about like those statements?
She doesn't understand what love is. How can she speak from the perspective of what a man should feel or what a man understand love? Because God is love. And I don't see any God in her at all. She's completely out of her purpose, and she's completely out of order speaking on men's business. And so there's no way that she could ever understand it. She's just speaking to a bunch of obviously broken women that don't really understand what love is, and they've never really experienced it because their fathers wasn't the man that's a reflection of the man that they should have married, right? No woman can ever give a man any kind of advice on what it is that he's supposed to be doing in a relationship. That comes from other men, right? And so because she don't understand what love is, because she's moving outside of her purpose, because women in general ultimately are moving outside of their purpose because they're not under the vision of a man, and they think that just because they may get a little bit of money, or just because they standing on the shoulders of the men of yesteryear that then enabled them to even be able to have a voice that they have in a day, all of a sudden they outside of their purpose, right? It's almost like letting the prisoners run crazy inside of the asylum, and then just because they get a little bit of success inside of that asylum, all of a sudden they feel as though they have a voice, or that their voice really matters when it comes to real masculinity. She don't know what that look like. And so it's a fruitless conversation to try to explain to a woman that already feels as though she knows, when she's never been successfully married, what love is, because love is a sense of duty that she's never executed upon. So how can she speak on it?
So the next question I wanted to show you a video, and I want to get your opinion on it. This is a interview we did, I think, yesterday with the smart guy. He's also going to be on the panel with you. I want to get your what your thoughts are on this video. If you could bring it up. Can you play
Black
it?
women don't want to be held accountable. That is a problem. That is a problem. They don't want to be held accountable. The black woman ego has to be destroyed. This is the problem. I am blaming black women. Yes, I said it. Yeah, let me say it. Let me address this big funky elephant in the room. Okay? I'm blaming black women for their lack of application of knowledge, due diligence, and being studious. I blame black women for their lack of due diligence. Not all of them, but most of them, especially in our culture. You'll be
Well, of course they don't want to be
Uh,
held accountable.
that,
Do children want to be held accountable when they do the things that's wrong? Right? If you let a child, because you got to understand, right? Men have dominion over everything, but they've ceded that dominion over into feminism or into femininity because women do have a superpower, and that's basically their femininity, which has then, basically since the beginning of time affected what it is that men feel like or how it is that they're supposed to be moving. Every great kingdom has been taken down, most of them at the hands of a woman or because of what it is that a man feels towards a woman, right? So when you take that into consideration, you got to understand that women, of course, they don't want to be held accountable. Why would they want to be held accountable? They want to do what they want to do, and then they want to have their cake and eat it too. But it doesn't mean that they don't yearn for being held accountable. Every woman, I don't care who you are, they can parade around, they can wear boy clothes, they can wear overalls, they can try to do and pretend like they're doing the same jobs as us. But the reality is that every woman yearns. It's in her soul, it's in her spirit. She can't deny it. There's something that's in her. She yearns for a strong masculine man. Even in the bedroom, they want to be taken control of, right? Even the control that they have, they want it to be controlled and yielded to them based off of whatever it is that the man gives them. But I don't know one woman that is successfully married or successful in her life that does not at some point yearn for the masculinity of a man. And so they need to be held accountable. How you communicate that, how you deal with them is a completely different conversation, because I think that you can communicate anything to anybody if you communicate it the right way, right? I can go over there and I can say, what the fuck you doing? Or I can go over there and say, hey, baby, what's going on? Here, come talk to me. Why are you trying to do that on your own? Right? I can have a completely different conversation, express the same sentiment, get different results based off of how I hold her accountable. So I believe that everybody should and want to be held accountable, even if they don't communicate it effectively, even if they out of order, even if they running around and doing stuff that they're not supposed to do. They yearn for it. They need it in order for them to truly become the one that they're supposed to be. That's just the truth. They yearn for it, but it doesn't really matter what they think. The only thing that matters is results.
I wanted to play the rest of this so you could hear the other things he said, other comments. I wanted to get your take on that as well.
being used and you acting like you don't know you being used. So you don't know it's easier for a black woman to find housing than it is for a black man to find housing. Let's talk about it. You don't know it's easier for a black woman to get employment than a black man. This is the system is designed. You don't know years ago they said if you want to get welfare or get Section 8, you can have it, but the black man can't be in the house. So you got a lot of displaced brothers in broken homes just because. Do you know they got rid of factory jobs? Do you know that black men used to be the head of the household, but why are they not the head of the household? Huh? Do you know that the Willie Lynch, how they programmed the minds of the slave, they made the black woman hyper-masculated and non-dependent on the black man, embarrassed that black man, beat him, sexually sodomized that black man in front of that black woman, so she could not have respect and value for that black man, and then raped her, and then put the fear of God in that black man, and he did nothing, and then so she's been conditioned for years to not want anything to do with a black man other than physicality and sex and breeding. This has been a program for over 400 years that black women have been under. So I'm blaming them. Yes, I blame black women for their ignorance, unawareness, ego, lack of intelligence.
Okay, that's
not
what
all, but a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
he's half right. I think that he's missing a lot of understanding and he's missing a lot of context. A little bit of word salad was thrown inside of there, but he's half right. So here's the reality, right? Feminism hijacked the civil rights movement. the reason that feminism was able to hijack the civil rights movement is because feminism was a white man's problem. It wasn't a black man's problem. Even all through slavery and everything that he described, if you look at how it is that black people operated, even in their households, they did 10 times better. They had more wealth relatively, if you actually account for it and throw in inflation and calculate what the value of a dollar was versus what it is today. They had more businesses. They were more professional. They had their families together, right? At times when it was the worst for them, right? After slavery, when black people then had freedom, but they had a level of racism that was being leveled against them. Even if you look at black people in the 40s and the 50s, right? You have to understand that black people wore suits when they went to baseball games. They owned their own businesses. At times when there was actually racism being levied against them and their own towns was being destroyed as a result of it, they were 10 times more successful than they were today. The more freedom that we've gotten, now we make worse decisions for ourselves. And it's not necessarily at the hands of what it is that we've been taught. It's at the hands of things that's been hijacked that's not even related to us. So what happened was civil rights movement was operating, right? But then white men lost control of their households. Feminism is a white woman's movement. That is a thing that white women started advocating for because white men no longer had control of their women. They had started to say happy wife, happy life. All of that came from white men, right? And so even when you look at the median household income, white men and white people are not that much further ahead of black people. If you want to look at what success is based off of cultural norms that's then implemented. And that's why you see Asian, Indian, and so on and so forth. Their average household income and their household staying together is much greater than any person that's been here that's been white or have ancestors, right? We use the extreme versions of it, the Elon Musk and all that other type of stuff in order to substantiate our arguments. But all that does is blow it way out of proportion because the average then skews up significantly when you have somebody of that higher tax bracket or you have people operating at that high of a level versus what the median is and what the average is, right? So here's the reality. White men lost control of their women first. White women then recruited black women in order to come over to feminism. And so the thing that y'all see black women operating out of today is not even their purpose. It's not even the thing that they were supposed to be a part of in the first place. They then had this Me Too thing of they always admonished, they always admired, and they always envied, even if they didn't want to admit it openly, of what white women were able to accomplish and how it is that they was able to take control of their men. And so what happened was feminism hijacked the civil rights movement, but they didn't realize that the civil rights movement was just a ploy in order to then give feminism over that then was hijacked by the alphabet community and what it is that you see happening today. So now today, you see women such as the Princella Clarks that can't even operate in a femininity and can't walk around unless they got the baseball caps on their heads. Why? Because the reality is that the thing that you thought that you were doing in your own best interest fucked up your own household. And then they hijacked that for what they really wanted it for. And it was for the alphabet community and the gay rights movement. So now you see women complaining and whining about the fact that men are starting to beat their ass in their own sports. They can't even use their own bathrooms without some kind of movement that's saying that, nah, because this dude feel like a woman, he should be able to go into the stall with you. Your daughters is now getting their ass kicked in the sports because you got dudes over there competing with them, and now they can do that too. And then that's gonna be hijacked by something that I think is coming way further down the line that's gonna be even more egregious. So the fact that black women allowed themselves to be finessed by white women in order to hijack the civil rights movement that then got hijacked by the alphabet community for the gay rights movement that was then given to you as a mascot by your favorite black president, Barack Obama, and the thing that he stands on the most today and still writing letters to libraries as far as what books that we should be reading and teaching our children inside of these schools is misguided. He's partially correct, but he does not have the real understanding as to why it is that feminism took place and why black women started leaving the households. It was because they was imitating white women, and then white women then became a part of the minority in order to then say that I'm a woman and my gender actually matters, and this is why you should pay attention to me instead of just paying attention to what was going on in the civil rights movement. That's really the truth. It was a white man losing control. Black women then joined white women, and then they got hijacked by the alphabet community. So that's really what happened.
So, right. So that's going to be interesting to see live at the town hall. Have you guys you being older, older than he's like, in his 20s. And so, I think that you might be able to school him on some of that
He's a
stuff,
young
what I'm
bull.
saying?
He's a
Like
young
change a
bull.
little bit of his, yeah. So I wanted to take a commercial break, but I wanted to like, cue you up for the next, like what we're going to start talking next, which we're going to be discussing, the like sex in relationships, romantics, the actual aspects of like those parts of relationships, right? We're also going to be talking about like the LGBT. We're going to get in more in depth in that and that like agenda. So I wanted to first like go into the commercial break so we can like announce this the event that I hope that everybody gets their tickets. I think the tickets should be in the link below. Please get your tickets and stuff like that. If you guys can please put the link up to the tickets, the Eventbrite into the comment section so people can click it, and also have the link in below, and also put the StreamYard link anyone that wants to ask a question. So let's go into that commercial break real quick.
Get ready for an engaging and musical evening at the historic Texas Theater in Dallas, Texas on September 20th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Join us for a meeting of the minds, love and relationship town hall. Brought to you by Alchemizing Energy and Zulu Vision. Sponsored by Real Life Productions, Preference Dating, Inner City Creative Group, and House of Consciousness. Hosted by Sa Netter of House of Consciousness and moderated by Sabrina Williams of Preference Dating. This event features a lineup of renowned experts, including Anton Daniels, Napah Shada, Kevin Wesley, Amber Ali of Jocelyn's Cabaret, The Smart Guy, Baba Shaka, and Sydney Starr from Baddies South Atlanta. Performances by Shaka Zulu and the Tribe Zulu family, and Phil Wade. Elevate your experience with exclusive balcony VIP seating, complete with delectable vegan cuisine from Zulu Vegan Cooking. Participate in this interactive town hall where your voice matters. Engage in thought-provoking discussions on topics like dating, polygamy, polyamory, monogamy, swinging, and single lifestyles. Connect with like-minded individuals. Tickets go on sale now. So get yours today because this event will sell out.
Alrighty. Yeah, so please get your tickets. So we're also going to invite people up if they want to have a question or whatever, they want to ask him directly. But in the meantime, I wanted to discuss some of the subjects that we were talking about, monogamy, polygamy versus polygamy. Uh why, you're a monogamous man, I would you ever consider polygamy?
No, I'm okay. I'm straight. I got my hands full already with what it is that I got taken care of, to take care of right now. I don't have the capacity to even spend as much time as I want to with the woman that I got. I don't got time for that. I'm not interested at all, not even a little bit. And the interesting thing about that though, let me add this in there too. I'd rather spend the overwhelming majority of my time pouring into the person that's actually adding the most value into my life right now than to ever be entertaining the possibility of somebody else coming in and participating in what it is that she's been shooting in the gym and helping and pouring in the building with me. So I ain't got time for that. You know what I'm saying? I think that most people can't even manage to figure out how it is that they can get into a successful relationship with one person. How are people even having a conversation about what the possibility is as far as what polygamy is? I think that that's a demonic spirit in a lot of people, right? I think that what you see happening out here in society today is that people are reverse engineering and re-engineering what it is that they're supposed to be doing. And instead of spending the majority of their time on the things that add value into your life, we become over-sexualized. We become obsessed with the idea of porn. We become obsessed with the idea of spreading our seed around without any kind of accountability that comes along with it. And we can't even afford, and I'm talking about financially, we can't even afford to sustain our own household without help from somebody else in order for us to survive. At what point do we introduce sex or additional relationships into a conversation where people can't even sustain themselves? It doesn't even make sense fundamentally on a basic level. Removing the whole spirituality aspect of it, it doesn't even make sense. It makes no sense at all. So I can't subject myself to something that doesn't make sense for me at all. That's a lack
So
of dig.
what about the statement that this what about the statement that that's a part of our culture, right? That at one point, polygamy is a big was a part of our culture, and then now that we've gotten into got more into biblical, things, that we got away from our culture, and then we adopted the monogamous lifestyle, and that's why you end up having a lot of baby daddies, and guys going and stepping out on the woman, and
Mm.
but they're really being polygamous, but they're not even realizing that they're being polygamous. You have a one guy with eight kids with different women, right? But so they're really being polygamous. Or if he has a side
Is that
chick,
a lack of is that a lack of dick discipline, or is that really embracing polygamy? Because I would tell you that most people don't even understand what history is. Culture is, and let me just say this specifically. Culture is whatever it is that you embrace the most about the circumstances that you in. So currently, the thing that we embrace the most is the things that's the worst for us. It's the music that we listen to. It's our cultural norms. It's the no snitching. It's the neighborhoods that we live in. It's the lack of financial literacy. It's the misunderstanding of what coming together really is, as far as what a relationship is, or even what marriage is, right? And statistically, data says that roughly 80% of the women, especially the ones that are having children, are having them with 20% of the men. And guess what? They're complaining about it. Because think about it. Nobody is stopping you from still staying with whoever it is that you had children with. Nobody is preventing you. Okay, so it's a law that says that you can't be married or whatever. Who's stopping you from being able to maintain a household with multiple different women with one man? How come you're not already doing it? If it's a part of your culture, if it's a part of who you inherently are and where you come from, how come you're not successfully doing it? How come you can't successfully maintain a relationship with one man, let alone having children by one man with multiple different women all at the same time? The reality is this: the black man and men in general, how it is that we operate and whether or not we actually within our purpose is completely a myth. Most men, especially black men, take care of their children. Most men seek out to do things that's best for their children. If you look at the statistics as far as how children turn out, right, it is a fact that a child that is raised in an admonition of just a man, a single household where the man is raising a child, is much more likely to be successful, much less likely to go to jail, much less likely to have therapy, much more likely to go to college and be successful and make a significant amount more money than a household where a child is raised under a single mother. A single father is much more successful, statistically and data speaking, as far as raising that child to be successful than a single mother who is supposed to be the nurturer, right? And then we already know what the statistics are as far as households where there's two parents that are married, successfully married, being able to raise a child. Now, of course, you're going to have the anomalies where children see all of the most demonic shit, or they can't get along and they see that trauma, whatever, so on and so forth, right? But when you speak to an issue, you don't speak to the minority, you speak to the majority. Most men are in their children's lives. Most men are not having sex wildly, just not having a lack of dick discipline, right? But you have the overwhelming majority of women that choose to have sex or have children out of wedlock, having them with a small minority of men. And so if you're going to solve for that, you have to solve for it with the women than with the men. But when we start to try to justify our point by attaching what we don't even understand as far as a cultural norm, it then becomes a he said, she said, and it's not actually anything that you can stand on. If they were able to do it, then why aren't they? Because nobody is preventing them from being able to align and getting into the same household, combining their resources, having as much sex as they want, and having as many kids as they want. How come they're not able to do it? How come the guy that have children by 7 different women are not all in the same household, building a legacy and having greatness and having a whole bunch of financial success to where he can pass on that generational wealth over into his kids? Nobody is stopping them from doing it. How come they not implementing?
Do you think? Well, polygamy is actually growing. I believe that there's more people that are becoming polygamous,
Mm-hmm. They identify
and
as it.
because of the fact that there is, yeah, polyamory. That's what we're gonna get into. All right, so we're gonna have 2 people that are on the panel. Like Natasha Da is married to Sonetter, and they are in a polygynous relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have Kevin Wesley, who is in a polygamous relationship with 2 wives, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, he at one point was monogamous to his wife, and then he has a second wife, and she's expecting a child.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm from what I see, they're pretty successful at. They've been together for a long time, right? So uh there are success. So what do you think about those cases where, like, when this is a growing thing, it's beginning to be a cultural norm in society now?
I don't think about it because you don't speak to the anomalies, you speak to the majority, right? The majority is having children out of wedlocks by by the same dudes. All women are having sex by the same. I could take my own situation and use that as the blueprint for how it is that I can argue a point. I could say, okay, well, I've been married successfully for the last 19 and a half years, right? Never had any problems, never had any issues. I'm blissfully married. But right, when I'm solving for a problem, I don't speak to my own anecdotal experience. I can refer to it in order to give you a solution of how you can do it successfully, but I can't speak to the minority when I'm addressing the issue. The reality is that the majority of women out here are not similar to the type of woman that I have in my household. The reality is that most men don't make the type of money that I have, right? Most men didn't have the type of father. Most men wasn't raised outside or inside of a home, outside of the idea of being raised by a single baby mother. They didn't have the child in their life. A lot of men have a memory of them being used as a pawn in order to continue to get back at the father that they then came back to and said, hey, what happened? And then he started giving them the game of what happened. And now they got to go back as adults and hold their mother accountable, right? So we can all use anecdotal experience in order to try to justify our arguments. But the reality is that the statistics says otherwise. The data says otherwise. What people are complaining about as far as the dating pool is saying otherwise. Yeah, I'm successfully married, but how many people are complaining that the divorce rates is going up, right? I can say, yeah, I know some other people that are successfully married and we can all put them on a platform. I have marriage parties. I could bring my whole family in here and use that as anecdotal experience, right? But the reality is that the overwhelming majority of people are saying that they can't do it successfully. And most people can't even feed themselves successfully. They shouldn't even be having children because they can't even afford to have children. So I don't know who these people are specifically, and I don't know their specific situations, but I can't use anecdotal experience to speak to the overwhelming majority.
Do you think that if polygamy was accepted, that it would be a viable option?
Who's stopping anybody from accepting it?
Well,
We have children out of wedlock every single day.
Isn't it against the law?
What does that mean? It's against the law for you to fornicate. It's against the law for you to still be an adulterer. In a lot of states, it's still against the law. Did it ever stop people from doing it? It's against the law from people to steal. That don't stop them from going in and over in California and taking out the whole store. You can go and do whatever you want to do whenever you want to do it, especially as it relates to who you lay down with, and nobody is going to stop you. Why are they not doing it? Why are they looking for society to make it a cultural norm versus them just being able to do it successfully? What's stopping them? They're waiting for somebody to give them permission?
Nothing.
So why
Well, I would say, like, if you're married to a person, if something happens to your husband, if it's not legal, right? So if something happens to that husband, like, the wife that's legally married to them gets, whatever, like will or whatever it is. So but that's not, never mind.
Why
Okay.
won't, if they were
So
together,
bottom.
then why don't they just trust each other enough that the one that gets the stuff is then going to divide it up equally amongst all of the children? If it was, listen, you don't need a law if that's something that you really believe in that is going to be successful. If you trust them enough to actually lay down with them, you don't trust them enough if something was to ever happen to you for them to actually split up your assets equally amongst the people that they actually are in a household with? I don't understand.
No, well, that was just a law thing. So, okay, you've answered the questions about polygamy. That was that was a good answer. So the next part I wanted to get into. All right, so there's different parts of society that you know, there was a movie called The 50 Shades of Grey, and ever since that movie came out, you see more African Americans, that are being involved with the swinger crowd, BDSM, and fetish community, right? So one of our panelists is going to be a person that's a part of that lifestyle.
Nice.
What do you think about married couples that involve themselves in that, what the so-called lifestyle?
Let me use my own anecdotal experience. I am incredibly possessive. Nobody, and I mean absolutely nobody, should ever in any way, shape, or form be able to touch my wife. Any man that is open to the possibility of his wife or his girl being able to be touched by another man is what I call a cuck. That is a white man thing. And so white men historically have always been cucks. And I do not agree with the idea that I would ever in any way, shape, or form ever be cool with another man even touching my chick at all. I don't even like her walking in crowds when we out and about. I'm incredibly possessive when it comes to my chick. So no, I am not open to the possibility of anybody ever sharing anything with anybody. I don't even like to share my food at the restaurant. Why would I share my chick? Not at all, ever. I'm not cool with it. I think that it's a demonic thing. I think that it's demonic. I think that we are also battling against spirits and principalities that we know not of. And because we're open, the thing about it is this: when you open up yourself to something, you can't unsee it. Do you know why? And I'm not asking you a question. I'm speaking rhetorically. Do you know why men are so concerned about body count? Because this is the same conversation, right? Men shouldn't care about the woman's body count if they're also open to the possibility of sharing with other men or women of what it is that they do inside of their bedroom, right? They shouldn't be concerned with it. The reason why men are concerned with body count is not just based off of the idea that you've been with another man, right? But it's also based off of the idea that you can't unsee what you saw when you opened yourself up to the thing that you wasn't supposed to be a part of in the first place. She'll never be able to unsee all of the trauma that was done to her or for her or upon her as a result of all of her ex-boyfriends or the dudes that ran the train on her. How come you won't be with the chick that everybody ran the train on in college, but you'll open up your relationship to dudes to then bust your chick down as a result of it because you want to be a part of the kink community? It's a demonic spirit, I believe personally, that is running rampant within our communities that then open us up to things that we can't close off. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. It's almost like porn, right? I've coached a lot of guys through a situation where they open themselves up to the possibility of masturbation and porn, right? And so what happens is they don't just stay with whatever the surface level thing is that they then get exposed to. They go deeper and they go deeper and they go more and more into that rabbit hole to where then at some point they'd be like, what the fuck am I looking at, right? And so when you open yourself up to things that you're not supposed to be exposed to in the first place, it then defiles or it completely ruins the thing that you were supposed to be building in the first place. And I just think that people got too much time on their hands. They're too involved in things and being exposed to and spending their time around things that's not conducive for what it is that they're supposed to be going down, the path that they're supposed to be going down. Never in a million years will I ever openly allow for another man to ever put his hands on my chick. It's not happening.
So,
and let me just add this other thing.
Yeah.
It's a epidemic. I mean, it's a breakout. If you look at the data of what's going over in Atlanta or Houston, which is basically the new Atlanta, right? More women every single day are busting out with diseases, syphilis, chlamydia, gonorrhea. Their children are being born while the woman has syphilis, which then affects their ability to see and hear when the child is born, right? Over in Atlanta, according to an Essence survey that they then reference as a result of what it is that they research with the different clinics, it's comparative to what it is that's happening in a third world country as far as how much diseases are being STIs and STDs are being spread amongst the community. So if people don't even have the discipline and the self-respect to even be able to, be careful of who it is that they open up their legs to, and women largely in a lot of instances, guys tell me every single day that a lot of times women ask the guy that they don't even know, never got tested with, don't even have an understanding of who they are, to take off the rubber when they having sex. What makes you think that people, and again, this is a rhetorical question, what makes you think that people are prepared to actually be in a relationship where it's responsible and the most important decision that you make is the person that you lay next to or people that you lay next to every day? I just think it's stupid. I think it's dumb based off of where it is that we are as a society and a culture right now.
So here's the thing. At one point, Atlanta was known for its DL kind of culture, right? And
Mhm.
then you got into these sexual parties, right? And then you had more women adopting things like pegging. Uh what do you think about stuff like that when a woman uses her hand and sticks it up a man's behind and this, that, the other? Do you think that that's opening him up to be homosexual? Like, what do you think about that?
That is the wildest thing that I've not the wildest thing that I've ever heard. Let me back up. I think that that's crazy. Dog, don't put your hand behind me. Don't no. Like the answer is just not. Listen, y'all can call me old school. Y'all can call me traditional. You can call
I'm
me
sorry.
whatever it is that you want to call me, but don't call me somebody that'll ever take it from the behind. Ever. Don't touch me back there. Like it's a no go. And I'm not even killing people for that, right? Because the bed is undefiled. Your bedroom is undefiled. So you can do whatever it is that you want in your bedroom. I'm not telling people what they should do or what they shouldn't do. I think you're gay. I think that if a man take it up the butt, that he gay. Flat out. It's very black and white for me. I don't have no, in-betweens, none of that type of stuff. If you bisexual, you gay.
I'm not saying
If you take it up, if you take it from behind, you gay. Now, however you want to live your life,
no,
that
they
is
might be
up to
doing
you.
something
I'm
like
not telling you what you should and shouldn't do. I think that everybody should be respected as a human. I don't think that you should be prevented from having employment, but I'm not going to redefine what the word is. If somebody is putting something up in you, you gay.
So what I'm saying is that like, so the question was,
they can refine it, they can throw the words on it, they can say that they pansexual and all of this other bullshit. You gay. It just is what it is.
so what I'm saying is that okay, the question was though, if like okay, so like I said, more and more women are getting into a lot of kinky stuff, right? So
Good for
do
them.
you think that introducing anything in the anus could like open a person up to, okay, once you open that door, you said about opening doors and spirits and stuff like that, right?
I
That a
think once
woman
you
like
open
kind
up
of
the
getting
door for
in.
whatever it is, you start going down a dark path. You never, most people never stop. Even if you, in anything you do, when you expose a person to making more money, they want more money. When you expose a person to having sex, they want to have more sex, right? Everything that you do, especially when you're not mature enough to really understand it, or when you open yourself up to the possibility of it, it starts to expose you to more. So logically, I'd have to say yes. But I just think that, man, I think that that's wild. That is wild. I don't understand it. Yo, can I get
It's
candid?
happening. It's happening.
I'm gonna be absolutely candid. Like, I've never even done anal to another girl.
Yeah.
Why the fuck would I ever open up myself to the possibility? Yo, that is wild to me. Yo, I just can't. I can't. The box is too good. Head is too good. The box and head is just too good. Yo, I can't. I'm not interested in going in the part that actually take out all of the waste that you got inside of your. Nah, I'm good, fam. I'm straight. I've never had a desire for it. I've never had an interest in doing it. And so dudes that open themselves up to it, God bless you, more power to you, but you gay. I just think you're gay.
Well, I wanted to, I had to go the gambit of the audience. I mean, the panel members, because all those the panel members have different circumstances, right? We went from the single guy to the polyamorous guy to the BDSM. That these are the type of people that's going to be on the panel. Just so you know.
Oh, I'm cool with it.
And I wanted to open up this conversation so we can actually have these conversations because they exist. It exists. These things are coming up in our society, and then we get into the LGBTQ where we're kind of getting. I believe it's like a bigger agenda, and that goes into AI and all type of like if you're able to like cut off like you're able to say that we are. I think it's like a transhuman movement that's about to happen, and that's why people are adopting all these other like synonyms and for who they are or what their sexuality is.
It's black
when
and
the
white to
robots
me.
come,
I
people
think
gonna
either
be able
you
to do
gay
it.
or you're not gay. It's that simple to me. Either you like women or you don't like women. If you like women and men, then you gay. They can throw as many terms on it. They can throw as many pronouns as they want on it. Yo, I just think that if you doing something that's outside of the wheelhouse of what you would normally do with a woman, I just think you gay, flat out. Like, for me, it's very simple, and I'm gonna call it like it is.
So, like
Watch.
I said,
Come to the show in Dallas and watch what happens.
Yes.
See what you see me talking about right here is
ask
different than what it is that I talk about in person. I'm 10 times what it is that you see online in person. And anybody that's ever met me in person know that that's a fact.
Right.
Come to the show in Dallas and watch me work. It's gonna be a beautiful sight to behold. I promise you.
We are going to open up real quick for the audience. If there's any questions, you could if you don't want to come up, you could put your questions in the chat. We'll bring them up. We got about 10 more minutes before we close out, and then I like to thank Anton. We're gonna get his closing statements. We're gonna open it up. Is there any questions that we want to bring up? Hold on, let's ask.
Most of these people here, they know who I am. They know what I stand for. They already know what I stand for. They know that it's nothing. Let's see. If you like it. Other people can disagree, and having the so-called black community is a replica of the white community nowadays, demoralizing it. Yeah, I agree. I think that it is. I think that our cultural norms and the things that we celebrate and champion the most is actually the worst thing for us. We run away from the good. And you know what the worst part about it is we think we can sprinkle money on it, and that actually makes it okay. So if somebody get into the bag, but they doing some egregious shit, then all of a sudden then it's cool. No, it's not cool. And I think that character matters. Character is the thing that keeps you as you continue to be successful. And when y'all pray, right? I know it's a lot of people that may not necessarily believe like I believe or look at things like I believe. Pray for character. Don't pray for stuff. Don't pray for money. Don't pray for riches. Don't pray for success. Don't pray for a bigger house. Don't pray for a man. Don't pray for a woman. Pray for character. Pray for humility, and pray for purpose. Right? Those are the things that's going to keep you as you continue to be successful, because you are going to be whoever you are. How you handle it and how you manage it and the responsibility that comes along with it, that's the thing that we're not having a conversation about. And so you can get to the bag, but it's good people that get to the bag and it's bad people that get to the bag. And because most people don't actually understand what comes along with success, they don't really understand that more responsibility, and you have to be even more accountable for the people that you affect as a result of having a platform, having money, having the ability to be able to influence what happens in our culture. And a lot of people just think that they can capitalize off of it without having any kind of responsibility and ownership of how you're going to have to be accountable for what you say and how you get to the bag along with it. And so pray for character. Above all, pray for character. It is the thing that is going to save your marriage. It's the thing that's going to keep your kids from being in jail or looking at you like an asshole and then becoming the opposite of whatever it is that you wanted them to be. It's the thing that's going to prevent you from finding yourself in a situation where you're spreading out diseases. It's the thing that's going to give you the mindset to be more situationally aware when that chick is trying to finesse you at the bar, and then she puts you on the phone as food, and then she's setting you up as a result of it. It's the thing that's going to cause you to not overlook the man that you were supposed to marry because you thought that he was lame and you friend zoned him. It's the thing that's ultimately going to put you in the best space possible. Trust me, your current circumstance is not what your future is supposed to be. Stop making short-term decisions that's going to fuck up what it is that you got going long-term. And the problem with a lot of us is that because we can't see what the alternative would have been if we'd have made a different decision, we then lean on the idea that we okay with whatever our circumstances are. We see that happening with men. A lot of men will say something like, well, I'm here because of my kids, or I did it for my kids. If that man had a redo, and if he could have seen what his future was before he laid down with the woman that he didn't strap up with and had kids with, he would 10 times out of 10 choose never to ever meet that woman a day in his life. We use that as an excuse in order to justify our existence in our current situation. But the reality is this: you do not have to be subjected to your current circumstance. You have more options. You are better than whatever your circumstance is. Stop subjecting yourself to whatever your current situation is and what the people around you keep influencing you to do. Expose yourself to something that's actually good for you, not further deep down into the thing that's not best for you. And ultimately, you are always going to come out on top. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. Sometimes the lessons that you got to go through in order to continue to build that character because you asked for it, it comes along with it. But I guarantee you, when you look back on your life and you start to take accountability of what things happen and take ownership of how it is that you performed, it's always going to work out in your benefit. It's always going to work out in your best interest. I promise you. I promise you. Pray for character. It's going to work
So
out in your favor.
I have one. I have one last question for you, and we're gonna thank you, Anton. I want you to after with this, I want you to sign out, and we're gonna like play the commercial one last time. But
Gotcha.
here's the last thing. Can you share a memorable or heartwarming story from your own relationship that showed the power of love and commitment, like a overcoming story that you and your wife have gone through?
All right, I'm gonna give you the cliff notes. So when I came out of high school, I got a really good job. My brother had got me into the plant. When I was 19, 20 years old, I was making about $118,000, $120,000 a year, right? So I graduated in 2000. And then right before the recession hit, I had lost everything. My daughter was born in 2008, February 20th, 2008, right? And so at the height of the recession, I mean, nobody had jobs. Everybody was losing their homes. And you got to remember, I'm from Detroit. Detroit was the hardest hit in the entire country. Auto industry, everything was just completely fucked up. Everything across the board was just bad, right? And so, we had to go back into the trenches. I wound up moving back into my mother's basement. And obviously my circumstances is 10 times different than it is now. And this is why I keep telling y'all to pray for character, because the things that you go through is not necessarily what defines what your future is. Sometimes you got to evolve, and it's a lesson that you got to go through in order to be able to get there, right? But it's funny because I've always told my wife that I want to focus 98, 99% of our energy on the things that we love about each other, and let's not focus almost any of our energy on the things that we feel like we don't like about each other. We can spend a small amount of our energy on the thing that we don't like about each other, but everything that we do, we're going to put it all into. When we get together, we got a limited amount of time. I'm going to be busy. I'm going to be working. At that time, I went and got 2 jobs, went back to school, was in school full time, so on and so forth, enrolled in community college. We wound up becoming successful, right? Even more successful than we were before. But the thing that helped me realize who she was is the fact that she became even more entrenched in my success. When I would go out and I would hustle and grind, and I would get home at night and I would be grinding, I was working 2 full-time jobs. I was doing a sales job. So I was selling stuff and I was doing a lot of walking around, and I had flat feet, and I would get home and she would just rub my feet every single night, 7 days a week. She would spend an hour and a half just rubbing my feet all night long, right? Building me up, making sure that she ironed my clothes, took care of all of the different things, and being a mother, right? Because she had quit her job. We had made the agreement that she was going to quit her job and she wasn't going to work once my daughter was born, because we wasn't going to do the daycare thing, and we wanted her to be a full-time mother. She immersed herself in what it took for me to be successful. Everything that she did, every check that she got a check for $30,000. This is the honest to God. I put it on my father's grave. You know what she did? She brought it home. She put it on the table. She signed it and said, Anton, you do what you want with that. You do what you will. That's your money. Everything that I have is yours. You do what it is that you feel is best for it. And now today we are blissful. She is by my side. I will never let that woman's feet touch the ground. I will never let her go without. I will never let that woman ever need or want for anything. She is always going to be the queen. She is always going to be at the forefront. Divorce has never been an option. Plan B is to complete plan A, and that's for us to be together for the rest of our life. That woman has always placed me first, and she has always placed me as the head, and has always believed in the vision that I planned for our family. And when we execute it, she is the beneficiary of it. And there is nothing that she cannot have. Not one thing that she cannot have. And this is the thing that I keep trying to teach women. This is the thing that I keep trying to teach people, right? Women are so busy trying to focus on what a man can do for them right now. They so busy on trying to make sure that they can get the most out of a meal out of him. What is your credit score? What can you do? So on and so forth. What they don't understand is the thing that you should spend the majority of your time investing in, is the thing that can actually make sure that you're taken care of for the rest of your life. They'll spend all of their energy going to school and ain't even guaranteed a job or a good income as a result of it. Just student loan debt that they then got to ask Biden for forgiveness. So they will be more submissive and spend more of their energy with a boss that's going to go home to his family and wife and give all of his resources over there. And they'll be submissive to that man, but then they'll look down on the men that's actually going to be the ones that take care of them for the rest of their life. My wife's mother don't have to worry about nothing to this day, right? And so what I'm telling y'all is that start looking at things based off of what makes sense long-term for your future, and spend more of your time investing your energy in the thing that actually adds the most value to you, and that's the person that lay next to you every day. Because I will never, ever, I was going to be successful with or without her. But the fact that she was there, and she was there to make sure that she was going to give me all, she didn't hold back, she didn't have no reservation, that woman will always be taken care of for the rest of her life. She will have an overabundance, and she will never need anything or want for anything as a result of it. That's love. That's real love. That ain't none of this Instagram bullshit that they showing you on the gram. That ain't none of this bullshit that they selling you on YouTube. This is real life. This is what 19 years of being successfully married looks like. I love coming home. It's the best part of my day. So there you go.
Well, Anton, you know what? We did have a question that did come in for $4.99, so I wanted to like at least answer our friend's question.
Let's rock.
What do you think about men who let their wives have relationships with other men on sites? Do you think the relationship isn't authentic after?
No. No man should ever be open to the possibility of another man touching his wife. That is worthy of death historically. A man coveting another man's wife, or a man opening his wife up to the possibility of being with another man, is, I think that is probably one of the most disrespectful things. If she goes through with it, is one of the most disrespectful things that she can ever do. I would never, ever, that's just me personally. I don't tell people what to do. I just tell you what my thoughts are. I would never be open to another man ever touching my bro, man. I might put you on the list and plot on you for the rest of your life. I won't let you get away with ever putting your hand on my wife. You will never put your hand on my wife and live to have that hand by the time that you die. That hand is coming with me. That is my bond. That is my word. I promise you that.
Okay, I'm sorry, we got another super chat coming in. So, would Anton marry his daughter to a polygamous man, as in
No.
multiple wives, a man exactly
No.
like him, rich, spiritually sound?
No, I am the man that I would want my daughter to marry. I live my life based off of the idea that I am a reflection of what I would want my daughter to marry. Children usually look for, or they become, whatever it is that they see, not necessarily just what you say. You can say whatever you want, but what it is that they see, how she see me treat her mother, how it is that she sees me work, so on and so forth. I am the man that I would want my daughter to marry. And so as a result, my expectations, or what I would want, is based off of how I live my life. And I don't think that I should ask for anything less or anything more than that. My expectation should be anything more or less than that. Now, you can train a child up however you're going to train them, right? And you hope that they hold on to the lessons that you put in them. You know, train up a child as they should go. You know, it'll never depart from them. But they still have to make their own decisions, and they have to live their own lives. But I am the man that I would want my daughter to marry, and so that's what my expectation is.
Well, you know, I would like to thank you, Anton. This was a great interview. Please, everybody, subscribe. I see 181 people in the chat. I think we should have a good amount of subscribers, and also like likes and shares. Please share this with everybody you know. This was a great interview. I thank you for your time. I can't wait to see you at Dallas, Texas, at the Texas Theater on September 20th. And thank you so much, Anton.
I appreciate you. I'm gonna check you out later.
People are still asking questions. Okay, we gotta let them go. We've been here for an hour and a half, but catch you. You know what? Come to the event. All right, come to the event. Okay, so we're gonna play the commercial and we're gonna be out.
Get ready for an engaging and musical evening at the historic Texas Theater in Dallas, Texas on September 20th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Join us for a meeting of the minds, love and relationship town hall. Brought to you by Alchemizing Energy and Zulu Vision. Sponsored by Real Life Productions, Preference Dating, Inner City Creative Group, and House of Consciousness. Hosted by Sa Netter of House of Consciousness and moderated by Sabrina Williams of Preference Dating. This event features a lineup of renowned experts, including Anton Daniels, Napah Shada, Kevin Wesley, Amber Ali of Jocelyn's Cabaret, The Smart Guy, Baba Shaka, and Sydney Starr from Batty South Atlanta. Performances by Shaka Zulu and the Tribe Zulu family and Phil Wade. Elevate your experience with exclusive balcony VIP seating, complete with delectable vegan cuisine from Zulu Vegan Cooking. Participate in this interactive town hall where your voice matters. Engage in thought-provoking discussions on topics like dating, polygamy, polyamory, monogamy, swinging, and single lifestyles. Connect with like-minded individuals. Tickets go on sale now, so get yours today because this event will sell out.